just had dinner.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Capes and Lunatics. It's me, Phil. This time, no Lilith, it is Will, and we're going to talk to another comic book legend, another Kickstarter coming at you, kids.
Legend.
It's time to step once. Hey, if you got the longevity to last this long, you're a legend, my friend.
All right, I'll take it.
All right, so yes, we're here about to talk about your Kickstarter with James Robinson, Rogues Kingdom, correct?
Yes, that's it.
So tell us a little about this.
Well, so it's a book James and I have been working on for a very long time, and it's been a labor of love. It's basically James and I have known each other since we worked at Malibu way back in the day. So I mean, I guess the 90s. If I've survived since the 90s, I guess I am a bit of a legend. Though I don't know. I don't know quite what that. I wish it was more than longevity, but
Malibu, is that let's see, I know you did Solitaire because I remember buying Solitaire, which I loved. What book did you work on with him at Malibu?
Oh, no, we just knew each other because he was working on Firearm. Yeah, so
that's right.
Yeah. And back in the day, we hung out a little bit more because like you would go to shows and it was not nearly as big of a deal to go to a small show and just sort of hang out with fellow comic book creators. It was less. I mean, I'm really glad for how big shows have become, but back in the day, they really were more just kind of a chance to hang out. So James and I have been friends for a really long time, and we both got out of comics. I did animation for a while, and he's been writing screenplays and TV for a while. And we just were chatting, and we thought like we should do a book together. We should come up with something. And then we tossed around a bunch of ideas, and we sort of settled on a fantasy thing, and picked kind of a Three Musketeers meets Lord of the Rings kind of vibe, and then you have Rogues Kingdom. So it's been a long time coming. I don't know if you've seen the pages or not, but like they're crazy even for me because I was doing it because it's a passion book, right? And so it's everything that I never had time to put in a page. I just put it in, and so you get. And so you get these ridiculously, which I think are really fun, but like these huge cityscapes and giant battle scenes. And I spent a lot of time in animation in the last 15 years. So I got used to designing all the characters and designing the world and everything. So there's a huge animation style Bible of backgrounds and vehicles and horses. And I did everything. And now finally people are going to see it, which is great.
Well, what are you running the Kickstarter? Is James running it? Do you have somebody running it for you? What brought you to Kickstarter?
So I've been taking so long. Well, originally we were going to do it in Image, and that would have been great, except that I was not able to do it in a timely fashion. So, and it's been a very, very long time since I finished issue 1, and I've been working on issue 2, and issue 3 is in the works. And at the rate that I was going, it was just Image was like, well, we're never going to see this book. So James said, well, why don't we do it Kickstarter? That way, hopefully you can make enough to finish issues 2 and 3, and then we can keep moving on and get this book actually out into people's hands. And I thought that was a great idea. So we hooked up with inked.pub. They're a great little organization. Kevin has been helping us quite a bit with the Kickstarter, and I have tons of friends who have done them. So I've been bugging them a lot. My friend Patrick Lugo and Curtis and Ryan Kincaid and Dan Brereton, all these guys have had successful Kickstarters. Jimmy Palmiotti. I got a ton of advice from all of these guys. So even though it is my first Kickstarter, I feel like I've started way out in front because I have so many people to call on, which has been a godsend because it's kind of confusing, right? There's a lot of details. You've done some, right, Will?
Yeah, there's as you know, the Kickstarter is kind of the tip of the iceberg of all the stuff that you've done before, during, and after, that goes on there. And but yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of really, really successful creators on Kickstarter. So you've got a great circle there that's helping. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very lucky. One of the great things about being in the business for a long time is that you get to work with and know so many really cool creators and people who make. I mean, I I know that I've said this before in other podcasts. I just love comics and I love comic book people. I mean, I've been a comic book guy. Even the 15 years I was doing animation, still read comics, still loved comics. And so this is kind of coming back to comics has been a real. It's actually been kind of a dream come true since as much as I loved animation, it's just not the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, and comics, in my mind, comics are, oh, that's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks.
You can have a much smaller creative team and work, a bit faster because it's animation that just in my mind, it's like, how is that even possible? How can all those people make that thing that,
It's
we watch in 20 minutes and it takes them, months to
I
do?
mean, it is remarkable, and I have to say that my time in animation made me love comics even more because, like, I got to specialize when I was doing animation, and it is a battle. I mean, it takes an incredible amount of planning and strategy to make one of those things happen. I'm amazed that any film or TV show or animated things ever gets made. There's so many people involved, and there's so many moving parts. It's insane. I mean, it's totally insane.
That's what I said. Like the magic of comics, it's just with the writer, the penciler, the inkers, everyone's imagination. Just like, oh, okay, I need a space fleet of 1,000 vessels. Okay, well, I can just however quickly take you to draw it, color it. Yeah,
Right.
Because you'll draw it, right?
Yeah,
You
because I
did in
will,
this one.
I will draw it. Well, I mean, one of the things that I loved about animation is that there you can go to the guy to draw the space fleet, and he's the best guy in the business at drawing spaceships. So, like, it's gonna be awesome. That's the thing that I really found impressive about animation is everyone in it is at the top of their game. Like, it's incredible major leagues. Like, I I can do an okay background. I like a background, but like some of the like Vince Toyama, one of the guys who did all of our background designs for Transformers Prime, is just an outright genius, right? It's just every like the imagination and the scale. It's you look at these things and it's humbling.
Hmm.
So any of that I tried to bring into the comic is strictly thanks to those guys and the level of professionalism I was faced with all the time. I'm like, shit, I cannot compete in this world.
that's just
So, on the rest of the book, so you've got James Robinson as writer. You're handling all art duties. Are you doing coloring
So
and lettering as well?
I'm doing the pencils and the inks, and then we have an amazing colorist. Brennan Wagner is doing the colors, and he's
Awesome.
done some just his colors they're lush and they're fantastic and fantastical. Like they're it's one of those things where you like they're not in like anything that I imagine. My range of color is pedestrian at best, and so when I saw his colors, especially, so I told him there's a cityscape scene that happens, and I said that for the story, I wanted it to be kind of that the night, the dusk is falling, that day is ending on
Hmm.
on the beginning set of characters who um, their story, their past lives is coming to an end and they're moving into new things. So thematically, I wanted to have it set at that hour. And I
Hmm.
thought that I was being very artsy. I'm like, oh, that's artsy. That's good storytelling. And then I saw what Brennan did. I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. I mean, that was,
Nice.
yeah, like that was exactly the right call because it looks
Mhm.
amazing. And it adds all that
Abs-
flavor to it. It does have that thematic undertone, but he just pulled it off. He makes it look so good.
Nice. Very nice. So you mentioned you're working on 2 and 3 as well.
Mhm.
Uh, what's, in a perfect world where you get to do everything you want to do, how long does this run?
Well, so two is pretty much done. I'm done with the inks, and then so as soon as issue one is out the can and out the door, we're gonna start. We want to do the next Kickstarter and let people see it. So everyone's gonna be keen to work behind the scenes. James and I
Mhm.
have the first story arc, which is 5 issues. Is James has written it, and I'm working on issue 3, doing the pencils now. And then we've talked about and plotted out the next story arc, which is 6 issues. And then we've talked about and plotted out the story arc behind that one, which is like another 5. So
Nice.
we have dreams of about 100 issues. So we have, I mean, there's the three main characters you meet in the first story arc, Peachy, Rondo, and the princess, also the Terror. And so they're the main characters for the first story arc and for the second story arc. But then we start to introduce a lot of the rest of the world and a lot more rogues, and we try and basically the dream is to make this a gigantic universe people can enjoy for years to come.
So 100 issues. Are you guys planning on cranking out like a couple issues a year? Because I know sometimes.
I mean, I mean, yeah, it's ambitious. We have the plan. Like that's really just if I can get to draw faster. So the first, I think if the dream is to do one story arc, one trade paperback a year, that'd be like five or six issues. I think that's totally doable. If I can just concentrate on this and not take other work and just have this be the thing, which seems super possible now after the response of the first issue. So I think a very doable goal would be one trade paperback every year. So 5 or 6 issues a year. So yes, and that's still probably, we have more stories than I'll live to tell, but I can take a shot at it.
Keep the money rolling in, kids, in this comic.
Listen, Jeff needs a new heart. So,
that's right. We got
a couple hands.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is really interesting about Kickstarter is that you can do the individual issues, you know, and then when you come to the end of an arc, you can kickstart then the trade or a hardcover or limited hardcovers, and your fans come back and they support you because they want, you know, this new thing. You know, maybe it's got an extra story in it, maybe it's an oversized hardcover or something, and it's just so amazing that we can, you know, that creators on Kickstarter can find success, you know, lots of success with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or even, you know, 100, 200, or 300 readers, you know, that can. So it's just amazing that, you know, what Kickstarter I think has done for comics, you know, over the last decade. You know, there's so many voices now out there.
I absolutely agree. Like, so I've been getting Kickstarters for a while. Like one of the ones I got recently was, I mean, last year, but I got the John Sable Freelance by Mike Grell, that big, that gigantic one. And I loved that book as a kid. I mean, I remember when the TV show came on, I loved that book. And so when I was able to jump on, and we interviewed him on the Drink and Draw show. And so I got to talk to him, which was amazing because he's been a hero of mine since I was, you know, a child. But one of the things I love about Kickstarter is like, there's not that many people who remember that work as fondly as I do, but there are a number of us out there. And so we were able to get the collected editions, brand new material, all kinds of stuff behind the scenes. And I was willing to fork out tons for that because it's gorgeous. And, and I do think that as a fan, I've been able to find a lot of stuff like the Liam Sharp book with cats, that came out and so it's amazing at just the kind of art that you can find in there, and you can really tailor it to your own experience and what the fans want. Like one of the things I love about a fantasy book, especially a book like, you know, it's got swords and sorcery and all kinds of stuff, and it is being immersed in the world. And so one of the things that James has done is we have a letters page that it's not going to be really a letters page that people can write in. I think when we get it going, and we have an address for people to send stuff. But the initial run of the letters page is it's done in the sort of a French newspaper of the 1700s. So, and basically what James is going to do is what would be in that newspaper at that time. Like, so cool stories about the troll under the bridge, or, you know, stories about like a cat burglar who turns into, you know, a cat stealing, like that they've seen, you know, so it'll be cool other ancillary stuff that's happening in the world that's actually being reported on in the newspaper and that people who live in that city are experiencing.
It adds a lot of flavor to the universe because you get all these smaller side stories that hint at the larger, you know, universe. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then everyone's looking at that saying, what's going to come up in a future issue?
Well, that's the other thing too, is that I was really enamored of the scenes that were never in stuff like the Arrested Development has at the end, it would always show scenes from the next episode, and those would never be in the next episode. So I thought that was hilarious. And so I started just drawing panels that would be in the next episode or the next issue. And that would never be in the next issue. And then James, it's because I just was doing
That's a lot of work.
it was, but it was also fun because I would have an idea for like a cool scene, like a cool monster or a cool thing. And I just started I started sending those to James. Like, wouldn't it be fun if we had these in? And he goes like, oh, we should 100% have and so he started writing stories about the things that I would come up with. So part of the creative process was me just throwing a drawing at him and him coming up with some cool backstory for it and adding it to the tapestry. Yeah. It's been,
I was gonna say, it just seems like, I mean, does it just open up the creative, get the creative juices flowing more? Because again, as long as like you and James and the rest of the team agree on stuff, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about answering to like a, corporate whatever. It's like, oh, Spider-Man wouldn't do this. No, it's like you can do whatever you and the team can do whatever you want.
It is freeing and it's inspiring too. Like there was one. So in one of the pages, the major domo for the king, sort of his palace, administrator. Originally, he was just an old man, and then while I was drawing it, for some reason, it occurred to me to make him like a beaver, like make him an animal person. It just kind of came to me, and I asked James if that would be cool, and he said, yeah. Not only that, but that made him think of, let's have all kinds of animal people in it. Like, why stop at this one thing? And so then we just started to populate the world with all these other kinds of creatures. And my first thought was like, oh, well, I can't do that. But my second thought was like, why the fuck not? Why? There's no reason I can't do that. Right? Like, it's my book. It's our book. Like, James likes the idea. I like the idea. We just went ahead and did, yeah. And it's one of my favorite parts of the book now. Like there's entire, different kinds of animals, different kind of jobs, different kinds of creatures are involved, and they're everywhere. Yeah. So I think that was a moment. I had that crazy moment of like, oh, I can't do that. That's not canon. I'm like, I make the canon. I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
You are the canon.
Yeah.
It sounds cool, but I hope you thought of it early in issue 1, so you didn't have to go back and like read.
I did. Yeah, I thought of it. Yeah, it's like page 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So it happened fast.
Well, I mean, you mentioned a lot of people, coming to Kickstarter. I know Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise, did an art book not too long ago, and then you mentioned the Jack Katz book by Liam Sharp. And of course, Jimmy Palmiotti's, they do pretty regular, Kickstarters.
Jimmy is really fantastic at it, and it's become his business model, and he's so good about getting the right people on the right project, and he makes sure that everyone is taken care of, and like that the fans love them, and he's really a genius at it. Like, he's great.
Yep, he's got. I've backed a lot of those.
Yeah, his new Hunters one with the Bill Sienkiewicz cover is gorgeous. That just won. I think that just dropped the other day.
Yeah, I think it did too. Yeah. And that's another thing. One of the great things about the Kickstarter comics community is that it's really so supportive. If I have a Kickstarter running, I'll put an update in like, hey, I've got new stuff, but check out these other books by, the other creators that I know that have Kickstarters running right now. And, and Jimmy does a lot of that, and you just see it all over the place. And I think I remember reading that the Kickstarter comics group or area, for has the highest success rate of any group on Kickstarter. It's like an 80% success rate, just because the community is really coalesced around it.
Oh, that's great.
And it's just amazing. I mean, it's a very, very supportive community, and I love it. And my bank account doesn't, but whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, that's one of the troubling things is, as much as I want to buy all the things like that, they can beat. I mean, if you're getting a nice book, that's a bit pricey. It adds up fast. You're like, oh, I want this and I want that. I'm like, ooh, I probably shouldn't tell my wife that I got all the bells and whistles.
And that's something that else that's, you're looking at, if you go to the newsstand, $4.99, $5.99 book, but for Kickstarter where you're sending it out and doing, getting the printing done and doing everything yourself,
Right.
maybe your print run is 1,000, maybe it's 500, maybe it's 300.
Right.
You know, the cost per issue is going to be closer to probably 15,
Yeah.
or 16, and then throw shipping on top of that. But from everything that I've been able to see with, all the creators that I know, it's fans are willing to do that. They want the stuff that, creators are producing on Kickstarter. So
It does
pretty
seem that way.
amazing.
Well, I think one of the things, and just from a neophyte's position on it, from just kind of, I've only been you would know much more than I do, but
Mhm,
it certainly seems to me that the more honest and
mhm.
open-hearted and like sort of like this is the thing I've always wanted to make
Yep.
vibe on Kickstarter is something that people respond to, because I'm I love comics. I love Marvel and DC. I've loved all those comics my whole life. But like I mean, when Mike Mignola did Hellboy, I'm like, this is
Mhm.
his thing. This is new. This is a completely personal experience, right? And so I think I always love that as a fan. So I think that I hope most people do too.
Yeah. I mean, look at, you have these creators associated like Dave Stevens and The Rocketeer.
Yeah,
I mean, just absolutely gorgeous work that sadly we didn't get
we
more
did not
of
get
or
enough
enough
of.
of.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's yeah, I mean, a lot of creators, this is the book I've always wanted to do. Boom.
right.
I'm
Boom.
excited about it. And
Right.
hey, the excitement's contagious, right? I mean,
I do. I
it's
think so. And
amazing.
also, one of the things that's great about a comic is, we talked about how many people are on, a cartoon, and there are a ton of people and
Mhm.
they're all really, really good at their job. And I think that if you get a great director and you get a good, producer, that everyone's personality can come through, and that you get something that has a lot of flavor. But like nothing beats, you know, just a couple of guys, in the trenches
Exactly.
making
Mhm.
something that no one's ever seen before. There's nothing, there's no other, I guess maybe a rock band has that
Mhm.
same sort of small level synergy or a small person synergy, but like comics
Yeah.
is just, it's just ripe for it. I mean, it's nothing's like it.
Yeah, I mean, there are these guys, Eastman and Laird. I mean,
Oh,
they did something, right?
yeah, they were. Yeah, I think they might have had a good idea. Yeah, that's
But
good.
so how much longer does the campaign run?
We've got, I think it's 23 days.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so I've got. I'm going to be posting soon, and I'm happy to share everything. So I've actually added. When we reached our initial goal, I added the original pitch packet that James and I put together
Oh,
when it
wow,
was
cool.
called. So you'll get that as a PDF, but
Mhm.
it's when it was called Cell Sword and Son back in the day before we came upon Rogues Kingdom. And so you'll see like my original drawings, and you'll get like some of the
Oh,
original
cool.
pitch stuff. Yeah. Um, and then we have a bunch of other like bonus books we're cross promoting, and then there's going to
Mhm.
be every time I'm just going to keep adding stuff. I know that I'm supposed to wait
Yeah.
for like stretch goal here, stretch goal there, but I get excited. I'm like, oh, they'll probably want to see this, and I want to make sure that they get this. Like there's a friend of mine suggested that I do the main character Rondo as a D&D character that you could play. So we rolled him up, and James is writing some cool backstory on his character sheet, and it's going to be
Mm,
um, a special Rogues Kingdom character sheet that you can. It's got all the stats. If you like D&D, you like
you got the stats.
yeah, it's everything. I mean, we rolled it for real. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So I
Very
think that's
nice.
just one more thing to bring,
Mm,
to make the experience more personal and fun. Um,
mhm.
and then I can't talk enough about how good James is. Like he's written in the back of every issue. There's a little short story of prose that he's done, and then
Oh,
I've done
cool.
illustration for. Yeah, um, and there might even be more outside the comic that he's writing just on the side that's going to be available later. Like I know that we've both been inspired by this world that we kind of created together, and it's taken on a life of its own. So there's tons more like this, and the pro stories are great. I put in one of the pages on the Kickstarter so people can read a sample of his writing,
Oh, very
because I
cool.
think that he's such a great comic book writer, and he's made such great comic books that I don't think most people know that he's also a fantastic prose writer. His stuff is great. Yeah, and it's like
Nice.
so it's like it really reminds me of old Fafford and Gray Mauser. I don't know if you guys ever read that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's got that vibe. It's got old like Elric vibe. It's got the, it's like cool old fantasy stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So another cool thing about Kickstarter is that when you, at least in my experience, is when you get right down to it, Kickstarter is its thing.
Hmm.
The direct market is its thing,
Right.
and they don't really cross much, for a lot of books.
Seems
So
that way.
once you get this issue done, it's time for a re-release in the direct market, right?
Well, I do think, yeah, I think the James and I have talked about it, and so I think one of the goals is to get the 5 issues out and get them printed the way or get them made the way we want to get them made. And then
Mhm.
once we have the whole package, then to add a bunch of new cool stuff and try and get like extra stories and then make the trade paperback its own unique experience. And if we do that on Kickstarter, or if we go to mass market and do it that way, I think that would be really fun for people who maybe not on like Megan, my wife's family, who are fans of me, but they're not necessarily comic book people or Kickstarter people. They wanted to support, but they were incredibly confused about like, how do we do this and
Yeah.
what do we do? Can we go to a
Mhm.
store and ask for it? And so I do think that there's a world out there of people who would enjoy comic books if they were easier to get. So I think
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I would like to, I don't know, participate in doing that somehow. I don't know. I miss comics at 7-Eleven. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Right. Right, Phil? Like I miss going to I miss a spinner rack. I mean, it's
Newsstands, grocery stores.
Yes.
Yes.
yes. I miss how easy it used to be to get comics.
Oh
The
yeah.
drugstore,
Yeah.
you go down
Yeah.
and you just, hey, I'm gonna flip through this while nobody's watching. This is cool. Okay, maybe I'll get that one, and here's like 3 or 4 others. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
I've told Phil this several times. I'm like, I learned early on about the problems of inflation because comics comics were 30 cents a piece. I could
Right.
get 4 for $1.20.
Yep.
Then they went to 40 cents. I could only get 3. I went, no.
No. Yeah. I had the same problem when they were 25 cents and a Slurpee was 25 cents. So you could get both of those things in one trip back in the day. And then when it went to 30, you're like, damn it, my math doesn't work anymore. I need to I need to make more money.
Well, I had the easiest math. It was like, okay, comics are $1, so if I won 3, I got to slap down $3,
Right.
and then they started adding tax to them, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
tax.
I mean, the sad thing about it is for a long time, comics were the only literature that kids spent their own
Yeah.
money on.
Wow.
And I don't know if
Yeah,
that's true anymore because it's I mean, I don't have kids, so I have no idea what kids
yeah,
do, but like it seems like it's too expensive now to
No.
and plus a
yeah,
video
and
game for $50 is a
yeah,
good price.
yeah, and where are they going to find them too?
Right.
Are they
Yeah.
going to go to a comic shop? They're not just there. And
Yeah.
Because even like Barnes and Noble, like they used to have like a big, huge like graphic novel section, and it's shrinking, and it
Yeah,
just keeps shrinking every time I go in there.
it's
I don't know.
true.
yeah, so yeah, we need more readers. We need young readers.
Yeah.
We need all kind. We need
I
Kickstarter
don't think
readers. We
there's
need
enough
direct
reading
market
going on.
readers.
I keep saying this. I don't think there's enough reading going on in the world, period. I think a lot, with this world would be a lot better place if people just read more.
I mean,
Hmm.
that's for true. My wife's a novelist, so she writes and reads, and I read all the time, and so this is a reading house. But I do see how it's harder now, right? Like
Mm.
there's so much information happening nonstop that because I used to take the bus to school, and that's when I would read for an hour in the morning and read
Mm.
I should have been doing homework or whatever, but I was reading Lord of the Rings, something like that. Um,
I mean, it's kind of harder,
Then
but
that's late.
it's kind of easier too because I mean, these days you could download stuff to your
right.
iPad or your
Hmm.
phone or something. So
That not to and that that's actually a really great segue because
oh, thank
one
you.
of the things that I really like about Kickstarter is that when I back a book, you know, at the physical level, they typically throw in a PDF,
Yeah.
so hey, I can take it and read it.
Yes.
I'm still tactile. I love to read comics that are actual comics that you
Right.
open up and you read and you have page turns and all those things.
Yeah.
But having a PDF of it so that I can, oh hey, I'm stuck at the doctor's office.
Right.
Hey, just pull it up. I can start reading. It's not the same experience, but it's
It is a
better than
nice
nothing.
option for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I like the tactile. I like the book too. I've learned to read PDFs more now because it's easier to carry. You have your little tablet and
Yeah.
everything. But I still actually draw on paper, so I still.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I am so old school that I there was the choice of like, do I do it on digital, and it's a much more efficient way to go. And if you can handle the digital, there's really not any drop in quality. But for
Yeah.
me, I just liked having a piece of paper, and I couldn't let it go.
Well, and that, I mean, that's again, this is your dream project. You're
Right?
doing it the way you want to do it
Yeah.
when you want to do it. So that's awesome.
I mean, the real dream is if I could get far enough ahead, pencil the book, have it hand lettered, and then
Oh
ink
wow.
it. Yeah,
Nice.
that so I would actually because I love the old school lettered pages, and they just don't make those anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a lot of older Quasar pages, from
Really?
Marvel's Quasar book, and the letters are pasted. You can see it's so it's just like it baffles me. I'm like, this is art, people, and oh, I'm gonna throw some white out on it. I'm gonna throw all this I've
Right.
glued all over it. And I'm like, no, it's art. Stop. Treat it
Yeah.
with respect, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say is like as much as I love a pristine page, I also love like those artist editions. There's the Frank Miller, Klaus Janson one,
Yep. Hmm.
right? I love how much they rework those pages and you can see it. I just think that's the best. I love where Frank. I would love to have been in the room where Frank's like, no, Klaus, I don't like this. I'm changing this. I just can't. I
No.
can't even imagine telling Klaus that he had somehow messed up. Nah, this is what I want instead. I
Yeah,
mean,
actually, I just got the Simonson Fantastic Four artist edition,
oh,
which is gorgeous. I
yeah.
love. I'm such a fanboy of his work in general. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
those and they're so big. I mean, they're
Yeah.
the original art size. And you're opening it up. I feel like a kid, opening up a
Yeah.
big book, because it's this tall, right?
I have a couple. I have an Al Williamson Star Wars one that I just adore. Yeah.
I've seen that one. I haven't bought it yet. I
Oh,
want it though.
it's so gorgeous. He was such a mad genius, that guy. His line work was
Hmm.
lush.
It's hard to
Hmm.
see with the light reflecting off it, but I have a original Jeff Johnson Wonder Man up there.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, excellent. Is that one of the is that a I can't quite is it a sketch? Is it commission?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah.
Oh,
It's one you sent to me. Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
right on.
yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Like it's going to the wall.
I love drawing that guy still. I mean, it's
Mhm.
I've been drawing him since I was 21 or 22, and I just still I just still like drawing him. He's still fun to draw for some reason.
That it's that design is such a timeless design. It just works so well. And I think I told you this when we were talking on the Wonderman show. That poster that you just threw in there because you're awesome, in that book, that was up on my wall for a while because
Right,
I just love that. It's cool. I mean, it had some cool Hollywoody stuff on it,
right, right.
but it was just an awesome image, right?
Yeah, man, Terry Austin inked the shit out of that thing. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Yeah, yeah, that was one of the things that was I like fun. I mean, I like comics that are serious
Hmm.
and even sometimes adult and morose and whatever. I love
Hmm.
all the kinds of comics, but I just really like a fun comic. And so
Oh yeah.
yeah. So Way of the Rat was fun, Wonder Man was
Hmm.
fun, Rogues Kingdom is I'm trying to make it also very fun. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, I was so glad you liked that poster. Back in the day, man, that was such a great time to be at Marvel in the early 90s and the mid 90s because I just remember I just said to Fabian, "Hey, maybe like a poster inside?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, that was it. That was the end of the conversation.
Hey, it was issue one.
Wait.
I mean, come on, you need
Yeah,
something.
yeah, no, I mean, it was great. He goes, "Yeah, if you want to go ahead." I mean,
Yeah.
the deadline was always a problem, but yeah, I was able to squeeze it in. Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
great.
today it would be, well, we're going to have a meeting about scheduling a meeting so that we can talk to the people that have to have a committee meeting to decide if we can do that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
But
know with like big companies, it's like it's business and everything, it's dollars and cents. But I don't know. I just think the '90s and stuff were so special because it's like they didn't worry about, is there a TV show with this character? Is there a
Right.
movie with this character? It's just like tell your stories and
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the
Absolutely.
'90s was a fantastic time to be making comics at Marvel. It was and DC. They were just such great places, and I was so lucky to be part of it. I remember when I did issue 8 of I think it was issue 8 of Wonder Man with the Crazy Eights.
Mhm.
And once again, I just asked Fabian. I'm like, hey, I've always wanted to do a Sideways issue ever since I saw John Byrne do a Sideways issue. Can I do a Sideways issue? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. Doesn't matter. What doesn't, whatever.
Oh my god, I don't know if you've seen, but he did one I think last year and one this year. Bruno Redondo in the Nightwing book right now. I
Oh,
mean,
I haven't. Is it good?
I think it was last year he did an issue where it's like when you turn the page, the whole thing just went from left to right. Like he was like chasing someone through the city, and it was just like you turn the page and it's just him going across the city. And then like he just
Brilliant.
did one a few months ago where the whole thing is through Nightwing's eyes.
Oh, I did see some of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the only time you actually see him is like when he's looking at a reflective surface or something. Otherwise, you might just see his
genius.
hand or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this might be an apocryphal story, but I think I remember reading that Frank Miller at one point wanted to do a POV issue of Daredevil where all the pages were black
Mm,
because Daredevil's blind, and
Yeah, like
I
Island.
think John Byrne used that and did 4 or 5 pages of a whiteout snow
during
in
an
Alpha
Alpha Flight.
Flight.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that
just
was
like,
good.
cool.
Well, do you remember that opening? I forget which issue of Fantastic Four it was, but it was the Paste Pot Pete issue where he sneaks into the
Yes.
Baxter building and he gets caught by the receptionist, the robot receptionist.
265. Yeah.
There you go. I
Yeah.
knew you guys would know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's that's a classic. Yeah. It's one of those things where if you think you're coming up with a really original idea, John Byrne's probably done it.
He's
Right.
probably done it, yeah. Or if not him, Frank Miller or Walt
Right.
Simonson,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that's that time in the 80s is is so interesting to me for a lot of reasons because you had these unicorns, these writer artists that are firing on all cylinders at the
Mhm.
top of their game, at the top of the game,
Just
right?
Yeah.
thinking outside
Frank
the
Miller
box.
on
Just
Daredevil.
thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, Byrne on Fantastic Four, and then Simonson on Thor. You had these, I mean, era-defining books, and they're all doing them, about the same time, and it's just, it's magical. I mean, it really is at that point in Marvel.
It really was. And I think one of
Mm.
the crazy things about it is we were appreciative, of course. Like I could not wait for the next issue. It was definitely a
Yeah.
game changer. But like I don't know if anyone, because I didn't know any, if someone had just been like, this is amazing. This is the renaissance of comics. Like this is
Mhm.
probably what you're experiencing right now is like when Wagner wrote The Ring, right? Like it's when
Yep.
it's like this is a game changer, right? Like you don't
Mhm.
realize but you are at the pinnacle of this particular art form right now in a way that
Yeah.
only other art like Shakespeare play, like whatever the
Yeah.
pinnacle of the thing is. That was
Mhm.
definitely that era of comics. We're like, oh no,
Yep.
you're seeing stuff that you've never seen before in a way you've never
Yep.
seen it. I remember we covered 133 of the X-Men, and I'm just like, I remember that issue being life altering. I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
this I am in 1,000%. I read the comic so much. Everything I knew, everything was going on. It made me want to do the X-Men. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to be participating in this someday.
Yeah, I mean, and there was I think I saw it on YouTube. It was this nice little documentary on Chris Claremont's time on the X-Men and
Mm.
how he
Oh, that 10 years. Okay.
Right.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, 30 years. So,
Yeah.
how he kind of was treated as a bit of an auteur. He was left to do the things that he really wanted to do, and that led to lots of success, which then led to the death of the thing that created the success. But whatever, right?
Well, I mean, the Shiva principle is always going to be there. The thing that's it's the creation and the devastation. It's always going to go kind of hand in hand eventually, right? Like that is inevitable. But one of the things that's great about the X-Men and I mean just the John Byrne run in Claremont specifically to take that out of that era is that not only did they make comics great, but they affected every other form of storytelling, like TV, novels, movies. There's nothing that idea of when we read the X-Men, everything we all went on to do that changed the way we told the story. Like that is it's seminal, right? Like the idea, the way the subplot is used, the way characters interact, the very idea of just the use of his language it affected everybody, right? And from all the fields. Yeah, I don't think it can be overstated. That stuff was important.
I was I forget, it was one of the writers. So one of the writers I follow either on I still call it Twitter. It's probably Blue Sky now, whatever. But they're talking about the Levitz paradigm. Because Legion of Superheroes was so popular, in the early 80s, mid 80s.
Right.
And the way he, because it was such a huge cast, he would say, here's my A story, here's my B, here's my C, here's one little page of D, and then I promote that to C, and then how you move through every issue and how those plots move through. And I'm like, and it's drawn out. If you Google Levitt's paradigm, you'll see how he plotted and built the foundation of those
that's amazing. I'll have to find that. Yeah,
and it's just I'm like, that really makes a lot of great logical sense. And there's so much innovation still today happening in comics, that you just like that you mentioned the Nightwing issue, side to side, you've had there's been some pretty interesting covers too. I think Tom King is Tom King the writer on Nightwing?
Yeah. Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor. I always get those two mixed up. Sorry. But it's when you guys, the artists and the writers, are free to do what you want. Pardon my French, but really cool shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I totally agree because too many cooks in the kitchen is definitely it can spoil a soup, right? Is that how you say it? I never quite.
I think so, yeah.
And as much as that, it's good to have different people's opinions and whatnot. Like even a bad or a less professional or polished personal version of reality, I think, is more entertaining than a group version, right? I'd rather hear someone tell me their story than a bunch of people relate what they all think happened. I just think I can connect to it better, even if it's not necessarily a story that I would be interested in.
Well, I mean, you've been on the other side. You mean in animation and stuff too, Jeff. I mean, no matter where you go, comics, animation, wherever. I mean, isn't it always the same? It's like if the people telling the story, if their hands on the project, it's better than you don't want to hear. Yeah, you're gonna get some input from somebody in an office, but it's like you don't want too much, because it's like, I don't think you're getting it.
Well, I mean, one of the things, so yeah, it can be derailing in a weird way. Like I did a long time ago, I did the Justice League miniseries Nightmare. And I drew a scene where Clark is in the Batcave talking to Bruce, and they're discussing stuff, and they're walking around in the Batcave, and I had them walk past a bunch of costumes, a bunch of his uniforms, and I had the original Batman movie. I had the 60s one. I had some of the cartoon stuff. I just had some cool costumes in the background, and it was just a throwaway scene. They just walked past them, and I put them in there because I thought it was cool. A lawyer flagged it, and he goes, "Oh, you can't. Those are trademarked costumes. You can't have those in this book." And I thought, like, it's Batman in the Batcave. I didn't understand. He's like, no, those are different departments. Those are different things. And so I had to change them, and I made them what I thought were interesting versions. But the point of the scene wasn't that there were cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the point of the scene was the costumes. So I think stuff
Mhm.
like that happens all the time, where like the juice is taken out a little bit, and a
Yeah.
lot of times you're left with something that tastes a bit flat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think I
Absolutely.
even mentioned, I forget what I was talking about, some comic the other day, and I was just like, it must be so fun to be an artist because you get to put little Easter eggs in and stuff, and see how many people can find and stuff. And
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Well, okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a stupid story about that. So when I was much younger, I was working in a comic shop, and I was like, I'm gonna write comics one of these days. And
Mhm.
what I want is I want the artist, when I have a graveyard scene, to put my last name on a tombstone.
That's reasonable.
Okay, that's reasonable, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, Mike Allred, no relation that I know of, was doing a book around this is early '90s, right? And on the front cover is a graveyard scene with Allred, and I went, I didn't write that, dang it.
Damn it.
oh, idea.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, especially like, yeah, I like to put stuff in. My buddy Dan Panoshin has occasionally put me in a book, and a lot of times it's in his book Tiffany that just came out from Mad Cave. They collected the French editions and they translated them into English. And so if you haven't gotten those, get them. They're great. But
Okay.
one of the criminals that character is looking for, and on the wanted poster, it's me. It's just a dead ringer. Dan drew me in there.
Nice.
And so every once in a while you'll find yourself pop up in a background somewhere. But like, so I put Dan in issue 2. He's one of the palace guards who's standing on the wall,
Nice.
as Peachy and Rondo come riding up. And so, and yeah, I put friends, I put people in stuff all the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I need artist friends.
Yeah.
So, this Kickstarter's got 23 days left. You mentioned Ink. Ink. What was the company that's gonna? I assume they're gonna be handling the fulfillment for you and James, right?
No, actually, I think so. They've just been really great about helping us get off the ground, and they're going to help
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to help us deal with fulfillment, right?
Gotcha.
But in the end, it's going to be old school. Me and James packing stuff up because I have
Nice.
I mean, there are fulfillment places, but we didn't know how many we would have, and also one of the things that I wanted to offer was sketch covers and
Oh,
remarks
cool.
and stuff, and so I've got a bunch of those to do. So I'm going to be drawing on I have to get the blank sketch covers anyway. So I'll
Yeah.
be doing. I figure like, well, if I'm going to be doing a portion of them already, I might as well just do all the other ones. So, and we're signing the books for people who want them signed.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, hopefully it'll be like a cool collector's item for people to get signed stuff with a drawing on it. I mean, I want it to be something that people like, like they treasure.
Yeah. Kickstarter as an experience plus, the comic itself, which I think is a great way to approach it. I highly recommend the Gemini comic mailers.
Oh yes.
There's a coupon I think somewhere that you can use to, when you order a big bunch of them, which I'm sure you guys are going to have to order a big bunch of them.
Yeah,
that will help out.
I hope so. Yeah, no, we're on top of the Gemini one, and we're I think we've had. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm so lucky that I have a bunch of friends who've already walked this road a fair amount. That I think that I should be able to avoid most of the potholes.
Excellent. That's great.
Yeah.
So I don't want to kill you or anything, Jeff, but and if this book does good, are we going to get any more Kickstarters from Jeff John? Oh, I forgot you're doing 100 issues of this one.
Yeah, we're doing 100 issues. Yeah. We're going to get a lot. We're going to get a bunch of them. Yeah.
I was going to say Rogues Kingdom. It sounds great. I think I'm going to have to buy this. Damn it. You can answer to my wife, but I'm like, I need that. Are we going to get some new? I need some new Jeff Johnson drawn super guys punching each other through buildings.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, so apart from my priority right now is Rogues Kingdom, but I still play around with putting out the second edition of the How to Draw Fight Scenes book.
Ooh.
So
okay, cool.
I mean, the first one came out and came and went, and I think people liked it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And then I've been working on the second edition, which is multiple fight scenes, multiple characters and group, and and cars and more guns, and just I wrote that book when I was working on Way of the Rat, and so I only had experience doing comic fight scenes, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I did animation for 15 years, and I realized that I still had a lot to learn. And so I'm going to take a lot of the lessons I learned doing animation fight scenes and choreographing stuff there and putting them into like the second volume. And someday, hopefully in the not too distant future, I'll put together hopefully a Kickstarter for that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. Take it from this man. He draws some group fight scenes. Check out. He did some Infinity War crossovers with.
Oh yeah, that stuff
in the
was
Marvel
so
universe.
much fun. Oh,
You draw some X-Men there, right?
I did. Yeah.
You got to draw everybody in those. I think
it was such a great. I know I said already that it was a great time to be working there, but man, that was so much fun because I got to draw Wonder Man and every other character that I liked, and I also got to do a bunch of doppelgangers. Oh, it was so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Infinity War, did they let you kind of design some double gangers? Like, nice.
That was epic.
Cool, very cool.
It was really, really epic. But what are you guys reading now that apart from Kickstarter stuff? Like, is there a book I should keep an eye on? I'm definitely going to look for the Nightwing one.
Yeah. I think
I'm a tremendous Green Lantern fan, and
I
Jeremy Adams.
What's funny is like I know I have that shirt.
Oh yeah, I know. Phil does too. I think we both wore it same podcast one time.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's a great shirt.
Jeremy Adams is writing Green Lantern now, and he actually he worked on the Green Lantern animated series, a couple of scripts. Cool. So he actually comes from animation a little bit.
The Bruce Timm series, the CG one.
Yes,
yeah, I love that. That's a great show. My buddy Tom Perkins did a lot of designs, the alien designs.
Oh, excellent! It's a beautiful show, and I wish we would have got a second season. And
it's really underrated. I don't think people were able. I don't know if people found it. If it was. If it was, I don't know if they scheduled it weird, but I mean, I've seen it. Especially I have, I bought the episodes, but it's a really great Green Lantern show.
Yeah. I think it was
I think it played it through once, and then it kind of just like disappeared, so people didn't have a chance to like jump on it. Yeah,
it's a shame.
I think it was kind of a victim of the
live action
movie.
Oh yeah,
unfortunately,
that makes sense.
But Jeremy Adams is writing it, and then Zermanico is doing the art, and the art it's really got an interesting kind of feel to it. I don't know really. I'm not artist, so it's hard to describe. But I believe he pencils and inks it himself, so it has and I'm gonna blow this, but it has a little bit of a sketchier feel to it. Phil, am I kind of? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Sort of, again, I'm no artist either, so I was trying to think how you describe it, but yeah, I like that.
It's really nice looking, and it's still clean. It's still really clean, but it's got kind of the outlines have a little bit of looseness to it. And,
very cool. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Who is the Green Lantern now?
It's Hal.
It's Hal.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, and I think
there's a John Stewart miniseries out now too.
There's a John Stewart book coming out, and then Kyle and Guy showed up in a Superboy book not too long ago. So it's a really interesting art style, and I like it. It's of course I'm gonna confess here. I remember first seeing Mike Mignola's art, and I was like, oh, I didn't get it. I was like, I'm like, what is this? And then after seeing Hellboy, I'm like, oh, okay, I get what I understand conceptually what he's doing, and I understand why it's cool now. But when I first saw it, I was like,
there's that.
Oh yeah, that's
from.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's from issue 1. Yeah.
Wow, that's That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I completely messed up the description, right? So a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Man, that's exceptional.
Oh, what just came out there? They're starting the whole universe around that. Will, you got that too? That the first issue, the new Transformers from Image Comics. What is that? Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that was good too. Let's see.
Isn't he writing? He's writing and penciling that, isn't he? Yeah.
Yep, I think so. Yeah, I think he's handling a lot of the artwork. On Kickstarter, I have to shout out my friends. Charlie Stickney writes a book called White Ash with Connor Hughes, who does the art.
Cool.
Connor just did some interconnecting covers for The Walking Dead, I think.
Oh, right on.
It just came out. And then another writer friend of mine, Kevin Joseph, does a book called Tart with Ludovic Saleh, who's a French artist. And it's Kevin's a bud, and Ludo is the book has this really, really European flair to the art. You know, I again, my words fail me because it's if you look at say Mobius is that has that kind of European feel. This is not Mobius-esque, but it still has that European feel to it.
Okay.
But it's Ludo's a great artist. I'm trying to think who else.
Oh, I got a Kickstarter I want to mention. One of my other co-hosts and I talked to DG Chichester once a month. He's got a Kickstarter running right now too. Axel's Infernal. It's about like Hell's like transportation trucking company. But yeah, the Kickstarter's running for the first issue right now. So
oh, cool.
what was the artist? I think it's like here, I'll show you, but it's Carl Walker. Is that Carl Walker? Yeah, but yeah, I mean it looks good, but yeah, they're running the Kickstarter for the first issue now.
There's so much great stuff coming out.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like it's oh wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Oh, and that's actually a really great thing about Kickstarter is if you back a project or you see somebody has backed a project on Kickstarter, you can follow that creator or you can follow the people. So when they back something else, you get an email saying, "Hey, this person backed." And I mean, Kickstarter, finding stuff on Kickstarter is so easy because if you put out an update on your Kickstarter, maybe you share another campaign or two, but down at the bottom they say, "Oh, hey, you might also like this campaign and this campaign and this campaign." So it really is a great way to keep kind of the excitement going for not just the project you back, but all these other projects that are going on at the same time. And that's honestly, and so Kevin and Joseph and I had a show called Explain Yourself where we'd bring on Kickstarter creators. We actually turned it over to another creator who's doing it right now, Benjamin Moore. He did the I can't remember the name of the book. It'll come to me later. But one of the things about the other crowdfunding platforms is that they don't have that discoverability. Their Kickstarter really is the 800-pound gorilla, and I really want Zoop and BackerKit and Crowdfunder and all these other ones to do really well because that gives us as creators a lot more avenues.
Absolutely.
Right? Maybe we find an audience over here on BackerKit,
right?
And maybe we find one on Kickstarter, but a lot of Zoop is another one. I think Howard Chaykin's got something going on Zoop right now.
Oh yeah, is that where he's at over there? That's what he's doing his book.
Yeah, I think so. But it's none of them really have that. None of them have really put, I think, the thought into the ecosystem that Kickstarter did. By keeping all of the backers and the creators in the environment.
It does really seem to be building a like an interwoven community of people who just like comics and like making comics.
Exactly.
Which is, I mean, that's kind of what I always wanted comic book stores to be. To go in and there's I have a great comic book store near me called Rogue City Comics. It's in Medford, and they're great, and they're really great about doing exactly that. If you buy one book, they're like, "Oh, you might like this book," and if you like this kind of book, we're doing, and they're really wonderful. But my first experience with comic book stores was way back in Berkeley, back in the 90s, which they were still kind of like caves that you would go in, and it would be like, "Oh, I'm looking for the new Captain America. No, I don't want Fabulous Freddy Freak Brothers. I'm trying to get, I see that's there. That's great, but I don't want,
that's
want
not
to buy, right. That's not
same.
And I definitely think, so my wife went in when Buffy the Vampire Slayer was on, she wanted to go get Buffy comics back in the day. And she loves comics now, but when she was a single woman going looking for comics, they did not invite her into the comic book world. So,
exactly.
and I think that is not an unusual experience for a lot of people who were new to comics trying to find them. The stores were not necessarily welcoming places back in the 90s. They're much better about it now.
Yeah, and Kickstarters is so great about having so many diverse voices. We get a lot of LGBTQIA, people that are able to find an audience and tell stories that are important to them, which is just amazing. And I've got some friends, Kat Calamia and Phil Falco. They've done a lot of anthologies around bi. Let's see, there's the bi anthology. There's the they do one every 2 months, and I'm like, I can't keep up I keep backing them, but I can't. I don't even know how can you do 6 Kickstarters a year? You're killing me. I do like 2,
that's
right?
an impressive amount of productivity. That's great. Yeah, no, like there are so many open voices out there, and there's so much stuff. And I do really like one of the things I mean, like I said, I'm very new to it, but I just noticed that they're really great at, like, if you like comics, so here's comic book stuff, but here's also other comic book type stuff. My wife is very much into tarot cards, and she just got this deck of tarot cards that is actually it's personal. It's preference personalized. Like if you if you're more straight, then the cards are going to have this. If you're more by, if you're like whatever your preferences are, you can put that in, and they tailor the deck to your specificity. So
that's amazing.
It was I'm like, oh wow, that's really incredible, because you're not talk about having a conversation with the fan. It's not just, and it was very comic. The art was very in the comic book world. It was very linear, and the colors were very like almost four color process. Gorgeous stuff, but like it was designed for you to have input on it. So I thought, like, oh, that's not something you could ever do in any other platform.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it captures a lot of the excitement around the old letter columns, right? Because you're talking to the creators, you're getting to, and they're answering questions or not, or just being smart Alex or not, which is still cool because it's an interaction, right?
Right.
And you get that on Kickstarter with the people that are making the thing. They're making the thing that they want to make, and you get to help them make it, which is just, it's awesome. It really is.
Does. Yeah, I think you're right. It does feel kind of like the old letters days, because I remember when I was buying old Marvel comics, like in my mind, I was participating in the bullpen. You're like, oh yeah, I get this. I can see where this is. I know that was a fiction, but it was a very cool fiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all right.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been a long week for me.
Oh yeah, like did you Will freeze, or
I freeze? No, maybe
Yeah,
I may have will.exe crashed for a moment, I think.
I hear you. Yeah, man.
right.
Well, thanks guys for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, let's this man go. He's busy. He was I popped on.
You gotta be. You gotta try issue 3. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just when Phil popped on, I was working on. So I'm doing. So that's a Superman Heroes Initiative sketch cover that they'll be auctioning off, and
excellent.
Yeah, so I have that, which is fine, but I have that and many other things I have to update. So Will, how many you've done a bunch of Kickstarters, right? And so
I've done, let's see.
Well, there's 4 issues of Crossover Division.
6. I think I've done 7 successful Kickstarters. My first one was a mad failure.
Oh, yeah.
I failed. I failed in so many ways. It's almost comical, but it pointed me to the Comics Launch podcast, which is Tyler James, and he gives a lot of great advice. He also has some training programs. It's COMIX Launch.
Okay.
And like, if you listen to the first 10 of those, he gives some really just awesome, hey, this is a really good way to do, a Kickstarter, how to build your audience. And, you obviously don't have to worry about building an audience because you are Jeff Johnson. You have an audience.
Someone said I was a legend earlier.
You are a legend, in fact.
I believe
But
that.
it, the hardest thing for me about Kickstarter, honestly, is the project management stuff.
Mm,
Because I love to write. I love working with artists and
mhm.
having that back and forth and working with the colorist and the letterer and and an editor and just trying to make the thing as best as possible that we can make it, right?
Mhm.
But okay, I need well, we've got a schedule, so we've got to figure out, how do we get this in? And
Right.
that's that's the hardest thing for me. And you've probably heard the term the dead zone, but
That's the
probably
middle
not
part,
because
right?
you, yeah, the middle part.
Right.
It's most most of the Kickstarters that my friends do, like or Travis or Cat and Phil.
Mhm.
You have a really super strong 48 hours,
Mhm.
right? The first 2 days,
Right.
and then you get it kind of levels off, and you probably get a few. It depends on the campaign, of course.
Right.
If you get 1,000 backers, you're going to have not much of a dead zone. But the first 2 days and then the last 2 days are just because, and this I think is the brilliance of Kickstarter. Hey, I'm watching this campaign. Guess what? At 48 hours, anybody that's watching that campaign, boom, we're sending out from Kickstarter an
Right.
email that says, "Hey, there's 2 days left. You've got 48 hours left to back this,
Oh
so go
yeah.
do
Okay.
it."
That's great.
And then at 8 hours left, they send another one to anybody still watching saying, "Hey, it's
Hey,
almost
dummy,
gone."
sign up.
Right. 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 You're gonna miss
Yeah,
it. You're gonna miss it.
yeah.
Right.
And that oh, probably the most useful thing, and you're gonna laugh. Um, have you ever heard of Kick Track?
Yes. I guess we're number 2 on Kick Track, or
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
We joke a lot amongst my friends and I that do the Kickstarters that there is no better information than Kick Track on day one for your project because it's like 10 times what it's ever going to be. And
Mm,
you're like, yeah, I'm spending that money on the yacht right now.
right. Right.
But seriously, once the campaign's done,
Mhm.
I usually come back into because Kick Track keeps that data.
Okay.
I'll usually come in and I'll screen cap that information because it shows you a daily graph of like dollars, number of backers, and things that you can then compare to your next campaign. Am I on track?
Oh, that's
Am I
super
close to what I
educational.
was doing last time? Yeah, and
Okay.
it's really helpful for me because I'm like, I'll launch and I'll do really well the first few days, and then the dead zone hits. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm a failure.
I'm familiar with that litany. Yeah.
But then I can go back to that and say, no, look, I'm okay. It's okay because I'm about where I was last time or even better. So
Oh,
it's,
I see.
you know, back away from the talk me
Right.
down from
Right.
the ledge.
Put the whiskey down.
Yeah, put it
Right.
down.
You know who hasn't made JMD Mateus? He found like a company. They told him, they're like, yeah, put out, because I think he put out like 4 books at once, but they're like, we'll handle all
Yeah,
the business side. They're like, you just create and we'll handle
yeah,
the rest of it.
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that. I mean, he did 4 books on Kickstarter. That was
Yeah.
last year, I think, Phil. We had him on when we talked to
Yeah.
him. He's just such a powerhouse creator,
He really is.
writing all of those books that he's written. Well, and we lost Keith Giffen recently, which is did you
Yeah,
see the tweet? Did you see the
I
Facebook
did.
post or the tweet,
I
which
did.
is brilliant?
It was perfect. Yeah, my buddy Scott, and I, Scott's is a good friend of Keith's, or was a good
Mhm.
friend, and so they talked a fair amount, and then I desperately wanted to get him on our another round drink and draw show to interview him because
Mhm.
I mean I've known Keith forever. We did Legend of Supreme together, and then
Yeah.
way back in the day we were supposed to do Magnus Robot Fighter for
Oh,
Valiant, and it didn't wind up happening. The company went under as we were developing it. It would have been super cool, but
yeah.
I wanted to get him on the show. He was such a great storyteller, and I mean, he had so much knowledge about making comics. I wanted
Yeah.
to document some of it just for my own edification. I just wanted to have go to school for a little while. Yeah.
I mean, because he was drawing comics. He started in the 70s, right? And then he has that legendary run on the Legion, and then even more Legion, and then everything else that he wrote, and
Right.
and then the stuff that he drew, and it's just such an amazing career, and such a large body of work. It's a shame that we've lost him now.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other advantage to Kickstarter. It's like you get to stay on a book, as long as you're interested in doing it, you get to stay on a book. Back in the day, in the 90s, you had guys like Mark Waid, Mark Grunwald, Peter David. They'd stay on a book for 10 years, but you don't get that anymore. Never.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that is my dream, to be on a book for a long time. Like my longest runs have been 25 issues on Wonder Man, and then 25 issues on Way of the Rat with some fill-in stuff. And and what's great about those is I feel like I really got to explore those characters. But I felt like I also was just getting started, right? So it'd be really great to have to have an old school long run like George
Lee and
Perez.
Kirby on FF.
Oh yeah, for God's sakes.
That's what he's trying for, 100 issues or more.
102 issues. That's what you're shooting for now.
That is the dream, right? Yeah, I mean, that would be legendary, Phil. If I could do that, then I would accept legend.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, George Perez on Wonder Woman, or his runs on Avengers, or
God,
I could just start naming
anything. He's pretty much
honestly anything he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about king of the group fight scenes. Jeez.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, anything I do is just a shadow of me trying to live up to trying to figure out how he managed that stuff. God, he's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, let's plug the Kickstarter one more time. Phil, do we have a link? Do we have a link that we can put on the screen or anything for people watching?
You know what, Jeff? Make sure I have a link. I'll put it in the show notes, so it'll go up on the podcast. It'll go up on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
So what is that?
It is. I think I have it memorized. It is www.inked.pub/Rogues Kingdom.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah. But if you just want to email me that,
Oh, absolutely.
All the show notes. Yeah.
Cool.
23 days left, people.
Yeah. And there's gonna be tons of the more people who jump on and get it. Hey, so the wraparound cover, the 48-page thing, that's a Kickstarter exclusive. Like we're never doing that again. Cool. This is awesome. If you don't get it this time, you're not going to get it. So and we're going to put lots of cool stuff in. And as the more and more stretch goals we make, I'm just adding more art, and more books, and more PDFs, and possibly stickers and postcards and all kinds of fun stuff.
One more time, kids.
Excellent.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah.
Beautiful.
What you're getting, kids. All right. So, honey, I'm buying something else tonight.
Tell her it's worth it. It's an investment.
It's Jeff Johnson. It's like buying a fancy painting. It'll go up in value, I swear.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? Well, I mean, listen, you never know what's going to happen. Wonder Man was in the corner box for a long time, and now it's a show. Apparently, those issues are valuable now, which tickles me because I don't even have any of them. So
you need to have that.
I have a couple. I mean, I have some old beat up ones that are mine, but I don't have one. I took the poster out of my own copies and put them up.
Yeah. Nice.
That's all right. You can draw your own.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, but yes, Jeff, thank you for giving us your time. You are a busy man, as I
love talking about comics. I love hanging out and doing these with people who also love comics. It's my favorite thing, actually. I would rather do this than draw.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
Don't tell James I said that. I have to now. Okay. Now I have to draw twice as fast.
But I mean, anytime you reached out to me, anytime you have to promote something, come on, or if you just want to come on and bullshit about comics, you're welcome also. So
awesome, excellent, thanks guys. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Cool, man.
All right, so all right, everyone. The great Jeff Johnson. Go pick back the Kickstarter for Rogues Kingdom right now.
Mhm.
Get that wraparound cover.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Good night, guys.
Thanks. Good night.
Later.